I'm glad you brought that up because there is a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg, and it describes that right after the Spanish flu pandemic, which, by the way, resulted in 50 million deaths.
Right.
Okay, so that is way, 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 way more than our current situation. But the U.S. Public Health Service, they did a series of 3 experiments with people. They did some additional animal experiments as well. But the experiments with the humans, they had 100 healthy subjects, and then they had several people who were sick with the flu. So what they did is they had the people who were sick with the flu cough up as much nasty stuff as they could. They put swabs in their nose to collect the snot. They even swabbed their eyeballs. So they were trying to collect all of the particles that they thought were infectious that they could then deliver to a healthy person and make them sick. So in the first experiment, what they did is they squirted these secretions into the nose, eyes, and throat of the healthy people. And out of those 100 healthy people, not one of them became ill with the flu. So they thought, well, we need to try harder, and they devised a second experiment. In the second experiment, they took the same secretions from the sick person who was coughing and sneezing and tearing, and they then injected that into the healthy subject. And once again, none of the subjects became ill with the flu. So they devised a third experiment, thinking that perhaps a more natural, casual human contact is required for transmission of the disease. And so what they did is they had the person who was sick with the flu sit really close, like uncomfortably close, to the healthy subject. And they had a conversation for like 5 or 10 minutes, I forget the exact time. And then after that, they had the sick individual take a deep breath in, and the healthy individual take a deep breath out, and they put their lips together almost as if they were kissing, but no contact. And the sick person blew all of his breath into the healthy person who inhaled it all. And the results of that experiment once again showed that none of the healthy subjects became ill. So I've tried very hard to find additional experiments where they tested this theory about contagion of infectious agents, and I could not find any conclusive studies that proved contagion exists.
Why viral? Because the people are poisoned, they excrete toxins, they look like viruses. People think it's a flu epidemic. In the 1918 epidemic, the Boston Health Department decided to investigate the contagiousness of this. So they, believe it or not, took hundreds of people with the flu and they sucked the snot out of their nose and injected it into the healthy people who didn't have the flu, and not one time could they make the next person sick. They did this over and over again, and they were not able to demonstrate contagion. They even did it with horses who apparently got the Spanish flu, and they put bags over their head and the horses sneezed in the bag, and they put the bag over the next horse, and not one horse got sick. You can read about this in a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg, who chronicles all the steps in the electrification of the earth and how within 6 months there was a new flu pandemic all over the world. And when you hear the normal explanations, how did it go from Kansas to South Africa in 2 weeks? So the entire world got the symptoms at the same time, in spite of the fact that the mode of transportation was horseback and boats, and there's no explanation for it. They just say, we don't know how that happened.
Today, Charlie Sheen opens up about living with HIV. All right, so let me show you a little chart that Dr. Huizenga and I made in preparation for the show. He's been following your blood levels of HIV. This is the viral load. And with your permission, I'm going to share this with everybody.
Please, by all means.
So back on July the 19th, 2011, you were diagnosed, you had 4.4 million of these particles that they identified.
Kind of a lot.
A lot. It's a lot. And within 6 months, as you see from this chart, it's back to normal. It's undetectable.
It's revolutionary, it's quite new, with powers and abilities far beyond those of normal therapies.
That's a big claim. I wondered why neither my team nor I had ever heard about this therapy, or Dr. Chachoa himself. It's not easy to get in touch with him, but I did finally speak on the phone with Dr. Chachoa about Charlie's HIV status.
He's the first adult in history to go HIV negative. The conventional medicine has never done that. He was still HIV positive 5 years after he started his antivirals.
But Dr. Chachoa claims his therapeutic approach has essentially cured Charlie's HIV.